Got it.
Recording? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I am Mandelyn Reese, the street angel, and this is my beloved Israel Trevino. So when we partnered up, I got kind of a spirit download to connect with Scott, Love Coach Scott, because I had met him in some workshops prior, and we became friends on Facebook and stuff. And I knew he would be great to coach us through some things. So it's been a intense, passionate partnership. And so one of the things that was really helpful that Scott started off teaching us is the connected timeout. And so, and we have been using that, which is great. We try to call the yellow light or the red light. And what are your thoughts on it?
Well, it took us a while, honestly, to get in that program, but once we did finally started watching the videos and practicing them, I started noticing my pattern of just going from, um, you know, just being in love to, red alert, immediately, and just and it is a practice. It's a practice, and if you practice it, it will be good. We had a couple really good solid yellow timeouts, and they work because
You have
I
to
mean
both be committed to calling it.
yeah.
And that was something we had to get on the same page about, was if something if gets triggered, it's like we both have to be committed to using the red light, yellow light, connected timeout. So the purpose of this workshop that I funneled out of my brain was going from fear to back into the alignment of love during a connected timeout. So hello, Timothy. So I hope we get more guests. That would be really cool. So when you go into fear, you're out of the alignment of love. It's kind of like when you're really in love, it actually seems to bring up more of your fears and trigger your fears. And it's like the more passionately you love somebody, the more fear you have of losing them, or are they going to hurt me or you or whatever, you know what I mean? And I had this divine thing that I had painted or drawn. It was do you know where it is? Do you think you could grab it? It's right by the bed, tacked on the wall. So I did this artwork about love as a double-edged sword. And on one side, it's like fears and jealousy, possessiveness, fights, cheating, arguments, blah, 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 blah. So that's the fear side. And then on the other side of the double-edged sword of love is all the good things, the partnership, companionship, cuddling, snuggling, bliss, intimacy, all the good stuff that comes with love and partnership. So when you get triggered and when you go into fights and when you go into like a connected timeout, it's basically you've come up into some sort of fears. One or both people go into fear. And I don't know if you can, it's kind of backwards, isn't it? But anyway, it's basically like the good stuff and the bad stuff about love. And I posted it in the group a while back. Thank you. So basically what I did was I wrote out some steps and ideas of how to go from fear back into the alignment of love during a connected timeout. And the first one I wrote down was, these are tips and ideas. First one is try to go to a love coach, I mean, we're all love coaches, right? Like we help each other, and it's like, so that's the first thing you can do, is reach out to a love coach, like a neutral third party who you hope will not be colluding, and just kind of listen to each of your sides and try to find the middle ground if it's hard for you to, find it yourselves. So that was the first step, is try to work with a love coach if you're in a problem or a breakup or a, red light moment. Take space.
And I must say, Scott, that you have been very neutral and very just you said it yourself, you're a champion of our relationship, despite the fact that you knew Mandy before I did, and you guys already have a friendship. It'd be easy to be like, oh, Israel, that guy is a retard or whatever.
No, well, thank you, Israel. That feels really good to hear that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cool, like love coaches get into the nitty gritty, I mean, I can't even imagine this other stuff Scott hears with people and other couples. But so that was the first step, is check in with a love coach, see if you can get some mediation and understanding and filter for both sides to find a middle ground. And then step 2, everybody should be taking notes. If you should have a notepad, take notes. Step 2, I love how Aaron was like, find something. Do some self-love, self-care, self-nurturing, self-created happiness tactics. And this is going to be part of where your own personal practice comes into play. Is like when you get into fear-based arguments and you need to get back into the alignment of love, the first thing you need to do is do self-check-in. Am I self-sourced? And what do I need to do in this time of separation or problem to fill my own cup? Because sometimes when you get in a big fight or argument and you need space, those can be very depleting times. Your energy can just feel like out of whack, out of balance. And you feel sad or bad or low or depressed or whatever, you name it. Anxiety, stress. So the importance of doing the self-love and self-nurturing thing would be getting back into balance within yourself first. So, for example, things that I like to do is take a really wonderful bath, and I don't mess around. I will put salts and I will put essential oils. I will stick my crystals in my bath water, and I make it really amazingly healing. I light candles and I put it all around the bathroom, and I just soak and I think. I try to not have my phone distracting me, and sometimes I won't even have music. If I just really just want to sit there and soak and think, it helps me to feel better. And the water does something to just nurture your physical body, and then getting to zone out helps you like clear your mind and get some clarity and stuff. So another great idea would be to get some massage or a healing service. Like there's all kinds of healers out in the world. Go order yourself a healing, or even people do healings on the phone now. You can call out and, see if you can get some kind of healing work or coaching work for yourself. Do you have any things that you want to share? Like, what is a self-nurturing thing you like to do?
Eat, and
Eat.
which is probably not the best thing. I'm working on it. I'm really big into sports, and I love basketball, and I love football, and I love baseball. I'm on a baseball team. I love working out with them, and getting some guy time, just talking to my kids, working. I got a lot of work, and that really helps take my mind off it, and just it's
It's
a healthy
focusing
mental
on yourself,
exercise, and
self stuff,
mhm.
focusing on other stuff.
I could do better. I could do more working out. I could probably eat better. I could, but that's why I have mama here.
Well, I also like to take naps to rest. And another great thing is I'll take myself out to eat dinner. Like on our last little timeout, I drove straight to Olive Garden and I pigged out on breadsticks and Alfredo sauce and soup salad, and it was great. That's my self-nurturing thing. Like I took myself out on a date and I'm like, breadsticks, and it was awesome. So find something you like to do to fill your own cup. And it's really important to do that because you cannot rely 100% on another person for your own personal fulfillment and happiness. You want to rely a lot on them in a partnership. You have some standards and some stuff that you want a person, a romantic relationship, to work with you on, right? You expect them to fill your cup to a certain extent and reciprocate that love and effort, but you can't you shouldn't rely 100% on another person for your own happiness, because that is something you have to grow within yourself. And it takes multiple things to create happiness. Like, you know, maybe doing art gives you happiness, and playing music or dancing or any number of things. So
I went to church this one Saturday. We had a timeout. We went to church on a Saturday night. They had a 5 p.m. service. I went. It was awesome. I kept on texting her bits and
videos.
pieces of the video of the guy preaching. It was about service. And, you know, I'm in the service industry, and she's a street angel. She provides a service to people as well. And we're just like, it was just a perfect message. But
it really was. I love synchronicities like that. So, I mean, whatever works for you. And that's part of the homework assignment tonight, is write down things that fill your own personal cup, if you know, for your own happiness, things you enjoy. And I actually had Patsy do this. Remember when you were going through your thing, your breakup, and I was like, you know what, it's time to focus on you and your self-love, and write down everything that makes you happy, and then post it up somewhere. And you can add to the list, and whenever you're feeling kind of down, you go to your list of things that make you feel good, things that make you happy, and then you can, you know, do some of those things to nurture your soul. So step 3, everybody ready to move on? Step 3, you meditate with a journal, and you write down your feelings, your insights, any divine higher consciousness that or information that you receive or get, and you gain clarity with your situation and yourself. You listen to your inner voice, and you write out whatever comes to you. And just taking some time, some quiet time to sit and meditate and think can give you it can be such a gift, because, and especially if you have a journal there ready, and you need to have a really good pen. I mean, I'm talking a pen that flows, good ink. You don't want one that's all scraggly and piece of crap, you know. So like, because sometimes when you get into the flow of divine consciousness, it can just really come out, and you got to write kind of fast. So it's like, that is for me, that was actually how I manifested my Hollywood talk show. I sat down and I meditated on my new year. It was like January 1st. And I was like, what do I want to do with myself and my life this year? And I sat and I meditated with a journal, and I was like, I want my own talk show. And I manifested it in a week. I contacted a producer I knew, and I produced my own 3 seasons of my own Hollywood talk show, and I devoted it to helping others. So I tell you that because that's how I manifested that idea, was through meditation with a journal. And so during a connected timeout with your beloved, I mean, meditation is a great thing to do in general if you're stressed out with work, or you need to get higher insights for some project you're working on. But during like an issue with a beloved, it's good to get clarity on how am I feeling, what may I need to do? What would be a good way to approach this situation? What's the next step? And there could be a whole bunch of different avenues that it could come to you. I mean, and you got to just kind of figure out which way you want to go. And so, yeah, so that was step 3, meditate with a journal and get clarity. Nice and easy. And you can even take it deeper. Yeah, what's up, Debbie?
Hey, Mandy. I'm loving this. Okay, so what particular meditation do you like? I'm curious.
Literally I actually have a spare room in my house that I made a meditation room. But I mean, I just recommend wherever people can get some quiet time, like make sure it's quiet, and like away from people and pets and anything that would distract you. Get your phone away from you. Number 1 distraction, probably. Like, you can have it maybe nearby, but on silent, and you just want yourself and your journal. And if you want to clutch crystals to help raise your vibration. And what I was going to say right before you raise your hand was taking it a little to the next level, is using essential oils too, because when you lather yourself with some essential oils, that can really help you cleanse your aura and your energy and raise your vibration. And I keep talking about raise your vibration because it does change like your structure when you mess with crystals, hold crystals, have them on your body, use essential oils. These are higher vibrational things, like products from God, you know. Crystals hold a specific constant vibration. Essential oils are plant-based healing tools. They're therapeutic. You want therapeutic grade like Young Living, doTERRA, some stuff they have at Whole Foods or Vitamin Shop, but these are plant-based things that you can put on your body and feel an immediate effect of healing. So yeah, those are some extra tips to go with the meditation and journaling and everything. Everyone ready for step 4? Does anyone have any other questions? Or step 4? Thumbs up? Okay. So step 4, take some time to reflect on all the good and positive aspects of your beloved partner. Write it all down if you have to, or if you want to. And so in your relationship. And if you want, you can even also remind yourself of all the amazing things about yourself. And because sometimes you have to fill your own cup of, you know, I deserve love and I'm worthy. And so many of us have been raised with child abuse or different things that have hurt our soul when we were younger. And, you know, it's like you gotta give yourself that self-love and affirmations and stuff like that. So during the connected time out, you know, during meditating and journaling and just take some time to put yourself in thinking about the good stuff, like list out all the good things about your partner. And that goes hand in hand with the next step is once you have thought about all the good, wonderful things about your partner and what they do and maybe the things they bring to the relationship and all the positive stuff, then step 5 is you feel into the gratitude and appreciation for your partner and the relationship. So
what I'm noticing, and first of all, I admire her, just her study, her studious, her studious nature about this love coaching thing. And one thing I'm just noticing now is that this is about, I mean, of course, it's about helping a couple through their relationship and how to coach them through it. But one thing I'm noticing is that the first steps are about yourself, so you can be interdependent instead of codependent. And so the first 3 items are about yourself. And then she goes into, okay, so now that you're taking care of yourself,
self-sourcing.
Now you're, now let's talk about you guys. Let's see what we can do about yourselves. You know, what are the good things that you see in your partner? What are your, you know, and then having gratitude and appreciation towards that. I know it could be completely challenging for my beloved here, but
whatever. No, he's being down on himself. Like, so for example, this man has an amazing touch. He's good at massage and like he expresses love well through his hands, which is something we have in common, and that's really awesome. And
our love languages match that way.
Our love languages match up. And he's amazing at reciprocating love and efforts, which a lot of partnerships we've had in the past don't do that. So it's something that we definitely noticed. We put in a lot of effort into our relationship, and we find it's very important for the flow, like the infinity symbol. We try to have that flow of we give and we receive, we give and we receive. And I don't mess around. Like, we romance each other. Like, well, I get him flowers too. He gets me flowers. I get him flowers. Like, we get each other cards. We buy each other adventures and surprise each other with stuff. So it's like, if it's one-sided, the other person gets depleted. And that's why we point this out, that reciprocation is so important in a partnership, because if someone is overgiving, eventually that overgiver is going to feel it. They're going to feel that drain of their energy, depletion, 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 until it's going to grow into this big problem. And then, you know, thank God, whenever we have something come up, we are pretty quick to address it. And thank God for Scott, because sometimes we have our moments, you know. We ain't gonna lie.
Help.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, help me.
Help. So
You're absolutely welcome. I love working with you guys. You're a wonderful couple.
So yeah, gratitude and love and appreciation. And something else. So once you express that within yourself, the gratitude and love and appreciation for everything good and positive about your partnership, and having gratitude that you have a partnership, because there are so many people out in the world who want one or are seeking one, who are lonely, like wanting a relationship. So when you have one, it's not just the happy ending is done. The happily ever after takes work too. It's like, I saw this really cool YouTube video. Some lady coach, also love coach, was saying how relationships go through cycles of bliss and disharmony and rebuilding, bliss, disharmony, rebuilding.
And there's a moment where the guy loves the woman a little bit more and just kind of swings the other way around, and there's an equilibrium, but it's got to be pretty close to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once you get into that space and recognition of everything good and positive about your partner and good and positive about the relationship, gratitude for having a partnership and companionship, for growth in your life, a life partner to experience things with and adventures with, then this helps you get into a positive vibe. And so you're armed with your clarity on the situation, you're self-sourced, and you're more balanced from the self-nurturing. You're armed with gratitude and appreciation for your partner before you come back into reconnecting to talk about what happened. And usually once you reconnect, with us, it's always like, we've missed each other and we're happy to see you. And like, we're like, you know, really great makeup moments. But then it's good to be in a positive space where you can gently talk about the trigger or the argument, or the trigger and the argument that ensued. And so then expressing the love of gratitude and appreciation verbally really heals and mends things a lot. And we try to do that a lot with each other. Like, we're always trying to build each other up. What?
Yeah.
Oh. And just like express that, like, hey, I appreciate you, I cherish you, like, I love this about you, and thank you for doing that. And acknowledging the little things, like acts of service, like we'll randomly do each other's dishes and help with laundry, make each other coffee or something, like, and we'll verbalize gratitude. Thank you for doing that. I acknowledge you for doing that. Thank you. Like, I think it makes it that much more beautiful when things that are done are acknowledged and thankful for, because otherwise, if it gets blown off, then you fall into that danger zone of taking each other for granted, and things just being like you don't care anymore. And then I think that's when the relationship can start degrading and unraveling a little bit. Is like you just get into this complacency, and you know.
But the timeouts are really, I remember the first time connected yellow timeout that worked, I thought it was a freaking miracle, because it wasn't just about, okay, stop your mindset, calm down, take a breath. It was more about, like, you know, grabbing each other, holding each other, and just looking at each other, and just reconnect our souls and reconnect our, and it was wonderful. It was like, okay, what are we arguing about? You know, like, and then that took us into that space where you're talking about, where you can actually talk about it without being a trigger, but more of a concern, more of curious type of conversation.
Gentleness is important, because sometimes after a trigger and an argument, and you know, tempers flare, you know, Scott's little dinosaur puppet, you know, like growl at each other, and they're Debbie's.
Reptile.
So yeah,
reptile
reptile brain triggers, like you can like really, and I wish people were more careful what they say during those times, because like those are the times people really tend to tear into each other. And in a way that can, as weird as it sounds, it can be a little productive, because in those raw moments, you're really letting out what's bothering you. And sometimes that has to happen for growth, for those issues to come out and be looked at and addressed, acknowledged. And then from there, it's all about communication and compromise. Then you start working on the issue at hand, and you try to come to a place of mutual agreement, compromise. And it could be as little as, yo, can you put the lid down?
She's domesticating me as well.
I don't say it like that. In fact, this is where Anuprabha and I were going to collaborate, and we were going to talk about, once you've gone through all these steps I've given you, 1 through 6, number 6 was being the gentle reconnection from your heart center. Then you try to figure out, how can I positively address things that need to be changed within the partnership, or something that I want to express. Can you change this about you or your behavior? So how can you gently do that? And I have personally, in fact, we just talked about this last night before Anuprabha even mentioned it. And I was like, brilliant. This is exactly what needs to be talked about. And Anuprabha, do you want to do this another time, or do you want to just kind of go over it a little bit?
Well, yeah, I thought, you know, I like what you're doing. I think it's perfect, especially with you and Israel, you know, they're together, you know, giving examples. That's great. I mean, like, it is a really, I think, special practice to share with, can be a friend, you know, lover, partner, you know, an aspect that you really need to acknowledge that's kind of bothering you in the relationship, or you like to come, you know, just like kind of at least be heard, you know, to get it out and put light on that situation, so you're not feeling like you're keeping it, you know, a secret somehow, or afraid to talk about it. Because often, you know, what happens is that we stuff things because we're afraid that if we do it, that company, family, where it's not safe to talk, right? To have feelings.
Right.
And you're used to that. If you say how you're feeling, you're used to really, you know, not being heard, a person getting really angry about it, for example, being abandoned, you know, being dismissed, thinking, you know, that's not important. You know, why are you bringing this up? Yeah. So, you know, in this kind of practice, you know, after going through all these steps that Mandy's been doing during the connected timeout, okay, then how to approach your beloved, or, you know, this person, and, you know, create safety, you know, within that container, that sacred container that we need to create. And then, like, you know, maybe set a time limit. And like Mandy was saying, we have to start with, and there's a step in there, really appreciating and leaning into how much we appreciate our friend or our lover, partner, and bring that out first, you know, how much you appreciate them. And then go into this other aspect of like, and I've been feeling that I need more connection with you, you know, for example, you know, and then, and what would that look like, right? How could we be more connected? And maybe you have to go deeper. Like, I get really angry, or I feel really angry when I'm the one cleaning up all the time, or I'm the one cooking all the time, and I don't feel supported, you know, and how can we come to terms and get like a more, you know, a value for mutuality, so that we're both, like, as you were saying, Mandy, you guys kind of both support that, you know, are both connected and balance things out. But often, you know, in a relationship, it can get a little bit unbalanced. So just for example, like how to stay in a balanced situation and knowing how to kind of bring that forth, I think it's really delicate, you know, in a relationship. I think it's really delicate. And, you know, how to approach each other and hear each other and have that communication. So that's what we were. So I don't know if you might want to you know, express that or practice that together, what that would look like?
Yeah.
Got something?
Well, in fact, when we were talking about it last night, he was saying how somebody he knows, orders the kids around and kind of meanly or rudely, and I'm like, well, that's counterproductive, and that's with anybody. I mean, even with employees, like if you're a mean boss and you're like ordering your employee like in a really condescending or demeaning or negative tone, it's all about tone and the energy that you're putting out with your words and your body language and your look. And it's like, if you really want a positive reaction and the other person to receive what you're saying and change the behavior or do a task, you have to ask in a gentle, kind, positive way with like a love. When I ask him stuff, for example, wouldn't you say I try to do it very gently and like a nice, respectful tone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like most of the time we really don't have to ask each other too much, but
Yeah.
except when I have to put the toilet seat down.
That's been a work in progress. He has gotten better. But see, like the way I explained it to him though is feng shui. It's like, it's not, and I dropped a brand new iPhone in an open toilet once. And from that moment forward, I was like, you know what? The lid needs to be down all the time. And so no more brand new iPhones falling in the John. So basically.
Yeah, I did the same thing actually. So I agree with you.
Yeah. But the feng shui, I read a book on that, and it's like talks about energy flow and how god awful it is having the toilet lid bowl just emitting all this energy through the house. And so we started dating. He's always leaving the lid up. And I'm like, how dare? But I wasn't mean about it. I just gently, lovingly encouraged, like, hey, it's good feng shui to put the lid down. Plus, you won't drop your iPhone in the toilet.
One night we drank too much. Can I tell a story?
Go ahead.
Right.
Why not?
One night we drank too much, and I'm used to just having the toilet seat up, and so I'm stumbling to the toilet, and I start doing my thing, and I just started hearing like a weird noise, like this doesn't sound like water, like I'm splashing on water. It sounds like I'm splashing on carpet, and I'm like, oh no, the toilet seat was down, and
I have like a carpet lid on my toilet lid.
Yeah, and so I spent the rest of the night cleaning that up. But I did tell her the next morning, and I was honest about it.
Yeah, that was funny. So just
well, thanks for that in-depth sharing.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's progress.
Everyone's going like this.
Well, wait a minute.
One way or the other.
The other opposite end of that is that Mandy would have fallen in if the seat was up.
Oh, I know,
right?
That happened to me once with an ex.
Man. I have 2 grown sons. It's just like, that's a thing.
Well, it's gotten so much better, and this is how good it's gotten. Like lately, I catch myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to put the toilet seat down. I go back, it's already down.
You want to go to the next level, you teach your boys to sit when they pee. It's better for your urinary tract, and there's no splash. Whereas when you pee standing up, you've got pee bouncing off the water, up and out and over, and so you've got to clean really well all around that toilet. If everybody sits, much better. But, you got to start when they're young, because teaching grown men to do it, I've learned, is difficult.
Oh, gosh.
It took about 10 months to really see the lid going down.
Yeah, it's in my subconscious now. I think I'm good to go.
But that's like a simple example of our efforts to positively communicate for changed behavior. and that, how common is that? I mean, our next step might be, which way do you put the toilet paper on the roll,
Do you have an example of the other way around where, I don't know your name.
Israel.
Israel, where you, Israel, have asked Mandy to change something. My experience is usually it's my partners asking me more. That's my impression.
Yeah.
Than me asking them, but I'm just curious.
What is it? Well, I just, not off the top of my head. I'm sure I've got something somewhere.
I'm trying to think of something too.
That is interesting, Timothy, that.
Yeah. And he's right, though. It's mainly the guys that
right.
Women are trying to.
Women often, we have like a list of things, a project, right? And so that's really good to take into consideration.
He actually asked me to try going my hair brown, and I did yesterday. Does that count?
Yeah, that's a great example.
That's a huge one.
Because I love her, and it was. I mean, she's a beautiful blonde, but just a more natural, and she's just so much more beautiful. I mean, she's so beautiful. Like her eyes come out.
It's funny. I was just thinking that it's so nice when you do make a change for someone that they validate and appreciate you putting the toilet seat down, for example. It's funny too, in my relationship, I'm the one asking my female partner to put the toilet seat down. And she is
hilarious.
Struggling with it. So every time she does it, I'm like, give her a big hug, really, really try to encourage her. God, it's so great. You put it down. You. And you're doing that right now with her changing her hair color.
Yeah. Oh, she's beautiful.
Well, I mean, he had seen pictures of me in the past where I had it a little bit darker, and he's like, hey, I'd love to see that on you again. And so I went ahead and did it. And so, I mean, that's an outright example of him asking to see something new and different. And I was like, well, sure,
That is also a really valid, really, really important, what you're saying, Tim, is that validation of each other and really the appreciation. I'm in a partnership now or relationship that, it's very easy for him to really, be really validating and really appreciating. And it feels so, you just feel safer. You feel more available, right? You just feel like you can really just relax. Really, my whole nervous system can relax, and it's just so, it just creates for more like courage also for sharing and stepping deeper into and going deeper, like emotionally into the relationship, investing more. So that's really the validation, appreciation, and voicing that is huge. Thank you for bringing that up.
I'm loving this conversation, and I just want to acknowledge what a wonderful job Mandy and Israel are doing of sharing about their relationship. Mandy and Anuprabha, what you've shared so far has been great. And since it's kind of an intimate group, I just want to introduce Timothy. Timothy is a friend who's going to be part of the Love Coach Mentorship Program. He's a very brilliant coach who's been coaching for a long, long time, and a very wonderful new. He's sat in on a few of our previous classes, but he's going to be very involved in the next round of Love Coach Mentorship. So I'm glad to, you guys are getting a chance to meet him a little bit.
Cool.
I'm really excited. So yeah, it's time.
And Mandy and Israel, you'll meet him. He lives in Maui, and he's going to come visit us. So you'll get a chance to meet him in person next week.
Awesome. Well, originally, Anuprabha and I were going to do this, and then right before the class, we decided it was going to be mainly me. But then at the last second, I was like, since Israel's here, why don't we both do it kind of as a unit to teach from divine feminine, divine masculine, sharing both aspects and sides of the story and connect the timeouts and just whatever comes up from both, of us. And I just thought that would be a cool dynamic to share.
I really wasn't expecting to be in this call.
Yeah.
I was going to work on.
I kind of dragged him into it. I'm like, come join me. I think it would be.
I think that was so perfect. That's awesome. It's really nice to get especially the male point of view, right? So, and what's happening inside of you, Israel, when even
I just really admire
connected time out. That's often, people can, really take offense to it somehow, or feel, that, controlled, for example, and no, I want to say what I want to say. So that just hearing how it was for you, your experience with it, and that you did find it valuable, it's really,
very.
It's nice to hear that, have that feedback.
It's been amazing. I mean, we went to Scott for our own personal love coaching. We ended up learning all this stuff, and well, mainly me. I'm just proud of her, and just how studious she is, and how much she's involved she is with you guys, and how much effort she puts into it. And I've been learning a lot too. And I really appreciate Scott and this academy, and for what you guys have done in our relationship. And we were just talking about that last night too.
Yeah. So it's been nice. Cool. Does anyone want to
So I just want to say, Israel, it does take a lot of courage. So I really appreciate that character strength in you, coming, just coming in cold. Also just your willingness, since you weren't really informed ahead of time or asked, your willingness to just say yes, to coming into the group that you're sometimes here and sometimes not, so we're all pretty familiar with each other. So also that takes a lot of courage, and your
really
willingness to be vulnerable, so I really want to, acknowledge you on that. And thank you for representing the divine masculine, because we really need that, on the planet and in this group. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, Anuprabha. Like, I mean, yeah, like I thought it would just be nice having the other half of the coin represented. Because I mean, it is about the class, the workshop. It really came from a place of when you're in a partnership and things could go awry, like how you can go from the place of fear and back into the alignment of love with each other. And so since we have gone through a few rounds of that, and we've had some connected timeouts, and we're still together because of it. We're still together because we use tools. And we try to really focus on our deep passion and love for each other to work through the hard times. And we're not afraid to be transparent about that, because when things are good, it really is like bliss with us. It's like the perfect companionship. We get along, everything's amazing, we have awesome adventures. But then it's like when the triggers happen in arguments, it's like it literally just goes, it goes to the other like dimension of fear, and then it's depleting. It's the opposite of the love. The love aspect and alignment of love, you feel so nurtured and you feel happy, and it's all the feel good emotions. But life isn't always all feel good all the time and happiness. Like life is like a roller coaster, and so is a relationship. You hit walls, you hit triggers, you hit fears, and most of those things come from your past. Like both of us have had damaging relationships before, and traumatic breakups, and those things get stored in your DNA and in your consciousness and in your whatever, in your soul. And it's like when something happens to trigger that, it's like you're having to face that fear all over again in your current partnership and work through it.
Now, Mandy, thanks for sharing that. And also like why this, I think the connected part of the timeout, right? It's important to bring that in, because oftentimes when you reach this point of not getting along after and it happens after you have these like deep, really wonderful love experiences, and then there's almost this inevitable crash of sorts. And when you come into that, and the beauty, I think, of the connected timeouts is that it's connected. It's not like you're having this argument and you're going, okay, that's it, I've had it, I'm out of here, or when I need a timeout. The connected part of like, yes, I need a timeout, and it will give me 20 minutes, give me 30 minutes, give me 1 day, give me 2 days. But there's the emphasis on the connection that we are going to come back together. So that while we're apart and while we're doing all those steps that you brought up, right? Going through all those steps, we know that we can also relax because yes, we are going to be connected again, right? So that also gets to attachment styles, which are really important, you know? And so that just allows for that, you know, for the nervous system to calm down, for us just to do some self-sourcing, get well resourced, and that knowing, you know, that within a day or 2 days, I'm going to be connected again, and then we'll sort things out. So I think the connected part is so important with this, always the time, you know, we are going to do this again, and setting that time. So I find that really beautiful in the connected time aspect. Right?
When we have those days where we're like, okay, we need a day or two. I'm speaking for myself, but my mindset goes into, wow, I'm not going to see her all day. I really miss her, you know. So I'll text her a picture of what I'm doing, like, hey, I'm doing this, or you know, or I came up with a funny news article or whatever. We're still talking and texting each other and being connected, you know, and we eventually go back to how much we miss each other and how much we love each other, and but we still give each other that space and build up that passion to see each other again the next day.
It's been interesting.
It sounds like you're creating, this really secure attachment in this, that you're really going for a secure attachment, which I can imagine that must feel good for you, Mandy.
Well, we're definitely working towards that. We're coming from such two different sides of the tracks. Like, he's coming out of a 19-year toxic marriage, and I had been single for a couple of years. And I mean, when you're coming from two opposite sides and you're like, a lot of our issues were me having to realize I'm in a partnership now. I need to have consideration for my partner. I'm not just completely free, like single bird, like, woo, you know, doing whatever the hell I want, because that could trigger my beloved. I have to have consideration for his heart and his feelings, and because that's just what you do when you're in love. And like,
I really appreciate it.
You're making that choice.
Yeah.
Right?
And then for him, I mean, since he had been in a toxic marriage and like big blastacious arguments, that became his conditioned norm. And I'm not used to that. And I'm this like, honestly, kind of gentle, easygoing person. So like, with him having that conditioning coming right out of that and into my partnership, so when he would get triggered, it was like he would go right into red light, you know, and
red zone.
And it's been a process of chipping away at that, right? Like the first argument, for instance, like he was kind of this aggressive tone that I wasn't used to. It was kind of just, he wasn't like being verbally abusive or anything like that. It was just his tone was more than I could like handle. And so I addressed it to him right there in the moment. I'm like, can you please bring your voice down a few octaves and just be more gentle?
What are you talking about?
And he literally, it worked. Like he shifted from being that way.
Well, because she is a delicate flower.
Yeah, I love it when he calls me that, delicate flower. So I really appreciated that he made that shift right away. When I just had to point it out to him, like, hey, you don't have to raise your voice like you did with your last person. Like with me, you can talk things out as gently as we can.
I remember that time.
Yeah.
How did that feel to you, Israel, when she said that?
My first honest initial reaction was like, I'm calm. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, but yeah, but
calm, right?
I am calm, really. Like, well, I don't know what you mean, like, you know. But then, yes,
Processing.
I processed it, and okay, yes, let's, you know, take a breather, and we'll talk about it here in a little while. And
yeah,
I mean,
19 years is a long.
You know, if I can come in for a second, I'm loving this conversation, this dialogue. once we get into an argument or a disconnect with our partner, it's common for us not to be aware of how aggressive or how loud we are being. And also, on the other hand, we may think we're being calm and the other person's being stimulated. So for example, because Anuprabha talks a lot about it, Anuprabha grew up in an alcoholic world, so she had to be hypervigilant. So a delicate flower like Mandy, or someone hypervigilant like an Anuprabha, may pick up a tone of voice that's a different level of aggression than is normal with their lover, in this case Israel. And for Israel, he's not aware that his tone of voice has changed that much. In his world, he might be thinking, I'm actually being pretty calm considering how pissed off I am. So it's interesting just to note that both sides, and then it kind of, the two kind of, it becomes a misery go round, right? Does it make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. I just had to throw in my little 2 cents worth there for a second.
No, thanks, Scott. That's good. The misery go round and the veils of past pain, right?
Scott has been a really amazing neutral padding for when we're both trying to convey our points of view, and maybe Scott's rewording of it in a way that each of us can reinterpret or something. It really helped.
Thank you, Mandy.
And I actually
since most of the people on this call are love coaches or studying to be love coaches, that's our job. Our job is to really understand each person, not to judge them, but to understand what are they feeling, what are they needing, and then to translate and help the other person understand. And that's like the greatest thing we can do when we're working with a couple, is to serve as translators. Even if one person is clearly being aggressive and judgmental, for us still to be able to translate that judgment or translate those words into feelings and needs, and to go back and forth and give empathy to both parties. And I always try and do that. I try and pay attention to how each person's feeling and do my best to make sure that each person feels equally supported by me, equally understood by me, equally connected, right? And then ideally modeling it. So I'm modeling to Mandy how to understand Israel. I'm hopefully modeling to Israel how to understand Mandy. So, and that's a big part of, in our mentorship program, what we're going to be working on is really how to do that, how to really understand someone, even when their behavior might not be in alignment with our own personal values.
And so I've spent since 2012 dove really deep into spirituality stuff and workshops and healing. And when I met Israel, I kind of was dragging him into that black belt level stuff. This is what you signed up for if you date me. It's so it's been kind of system overload at times for him, would you say?
Yeah. But it's
so much new concepts that I'm introducing, not only with me and myself and our partnership, but I take him to workshops and I'm throwing him into it hey, so he's getting triggered left and right. And thank God for Scott and Scott helping to also talk Israel through some of this stuff.
Yeah. They definitely has been so much help.
In a gentle way. So man to man, because I think there's a way that, there's got to be something to it to have, Scott.
You know, that you are really good at that, Scott. I've really felt like when we talked, it was like a man-to-man type thing, and it was very, very helpful, very empathetic towards me and what I'm going through. And, it was very.
Thank you, Israel, and thank you, Mandy. Thank you.
I appreciate that too, what you're saying, Israel, because I think on this planet, we need more men like Scott, you know, I mean, he's that as a mentor, you know, as in kind of being as really communicating as the way of the heart, and not because the masculine, when it's masculine to masculine, it's always like bigger and better and harder and stronger, and you know, and so this ways of being a man and being connected is also about being the divine masculine, being available, being holding the male presence, you know, like holding that male down, and also having an open heart, you know, and being available to feel what your partner is needing and feeling, really what's feeling and needs. And then the male, I think this is a huge one, is the ability for the male to be vulnerable and saying, you know, I'm sad right now, or I'm scared, or I'm feeling afraid. You know, that's often not okay for the man to feel that. So it comes off more as anger, because that's the appropriate response. So it's great when kind of Scott this holds down that, you know, pillar, you know, the divine masculine, and then makes it kind of like real thing, right? And then it feels safer for men. I think, Scott, I think you provide that, you know, safety net for men to come out.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's beautiful. And you know, we're all supporting each other. You know, we all have pieces of the puzzle, and you know, that's one of the things. I don't know if Patsy is still on with us, but I had the pleasure of chatting with Patsy today, and she was talking about just how safe she feels in our community. And I asked her, you know, particularly love coaches or people in your pod you really like to be with, and she was like, I love everybody. I love everybody's medicine. I love what everybody has to share and to say. And that's something I'm really proud of, is that, you know, we have created and are creating an ongoing community here where there is a lot of mutual support and care. And that's a very beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. And everybody, you know, she brought up Mandy, she brought up Anuprabha, you know, how, you know, both of you have really helped her feel safe. And Patsy is someone who is fairly new to our community and is shared very vulnerably, you know. So it's a beautiful thing creating community like that.
I want to acknowledge Anuprabha. I appreciate what you said about how a lot of men express their emotions as anger, because that's one of the few that society
allows them to have. It's safe.
And I'm very grateful for Israel, because he's very beautiful in his expression of his emotions. And yes, he does have more anger than I've been used to dealing with in a way, but I understand why and where it came from with his past. And but he's so open and vulnerable with his other emotions in his ability to express them, and I just really appreciate that about him. And that's why I wanted to also invite him to co-teach this or share his thoughts with this workshop, because he's good at sharing.
Well, I've never cried so much in my life, honestly, with Mandy. Not because of Mandy, but just with her, and just with things that I've been going through in my life and my kids and my job, my parents, my friends, our relationship. You know, we cry to each other. We're open about our things, and our emotions just come out with each other. And those are really some of the most beautiful moments, where I feel like we connect on a deeper level, because we show vulnerability towards each other.
I can imagine, Israel, you might be feeling safer with Mandy than you have ever felt safe in another relationship.
Yes. And I feel just so comfortable laying on the couch and just talking, or not saying anything, or maybe watching a movie, and just definitely my happy place.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
You know, there's something beautiful that he said when he was talking about even being able to cry with her. He used the words sharing with her. But it's the same with anger. Anger is okay to share with each other, not to throw at each other, not to use as a weapon. But when we share our anger, I'm angry because these are the needs or values of mine that aren't being met. And again, not in an accusatory way to the person you're sharing the anger with, but when we share even anger for the purpose of being understood, it does create intimacy. And for someone like Mandy or myself, I was not comfortable with anger until I started studying with Marshall Rosenberg and until I taught in the prison system. I was very uncomfortable with anger. I had a lot of judgment about people who got angry. But if we can understand that anger is a natural human emotion, and for some people, they're more comfortable with anger. Anger is the way they express themselves. Anger is an important form of communication. If we can learn, of course, to feel safe and to create safety, but to make it safe for the person who runs anger to share why they're angry, right? And for the person who is getting angry, to be careful to make sure that who they're sharing it with, you're not throwing it at them, but you're sharing it with them for the purpose of being understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that goes hand in hand with what I briefly mentioned earlier about like when you're in that process of the argument, when the tempers flare and the anger's kind of being expressed, how you can get really raw and express things that have been kind of pent up and building up, or like that are just coming out, and it comes out with some intensity. But just the fact that it has come out is the starting point for negotiation and talking about it and acknowledging, okay, so this is an issue. This is something we need to tackle together if we want to stay in harmony again, like get back into harmony. And relationships are always evolving. Something that I've been saying for the past year, or maybe longer, is so we are all unique individual specimens in this universe. We all have our own unique soul, energy, frequency, DNA. You know, even two twins are going to have two separate personalities and souls. It doesn't matter if they have the same like makeup in the body or they look the same. They're going to be two different people and they have different scars. He has twins. He has twin girls. One has a scar. That's how you can kind of tell them apart because they look so much alike, but they're different. One likes pink, the other likes purple. So it's like we're all unique specimens, right? So I'm a unique specimen. He's a unique specimen. When we come together, that relationship, our relationship, is a unique entity all by itself. In this, there's not going to be any other relationship ever again like it in this universe. And so I'm an evolving creature. He's an evolving creature. The relationship's an evolving thing. So sometimes the reason people break up is their evolution, suddenly they don't evolve in the same way anymore. Their partnership comes apart because their evolution as a soul and a body and in their career, their family, their personality, their behavior, whatever, makes them incompatible as a unit, and then they come apart. So
I can think of an example with that, like we talk about how relationships are a series of ups and downs. Well, I like to think of a good relationship as a stock market. It should be, even though you come down, it's going to eventually come back up again. So in the analogy of the stock market, if your relationship is not on the way up, even though you have your ups and downs, then you're probably...
Then it's going to crash.
Like 1929.
The 1929. But
well, yeah, I've often said that though, right? That is that time when you get really intimate. I've experienced that. You get really intimate with somebody, and then there is, what did you call it, Scott? Are you still there?
That all of us have an intimacy threshold.
Intimacy threshold.
And so almost inevitably, when a couple or even two friends reach a new level of emotional, physical, or sexual intimacy, it's almost always followed by the ego of one or both people getting scared and creating separation. And it's because we crossed past our intimacy threshold. We went past what felt safe, and it simultaneously could feel really yummy as it's happening. It's kind of scary, but it's really wonderful. But then the next day or the next morning, our ego goes, what did you do? We've made an agreement. We're not going to get that close to another person. We're not going to let another person, get that close to us, or whatever it might be. And then we'll find the ego is very, very creative in finding ways to create separation, whether it's picking a fight or finding what's wrong with somebody. And sometimes entire relationships end. I've seen and experienced in my own life, actually, to be honest, my last relationship, the one after Emily, we reached a whole new level of intimacy and scared the heck out of her, and she found all sorts of ways to end it. And I've seen that with other couples as well. So it's really important, ideally, when we are reaching that whole new level, to go, wow, we just reached a new level of connection. We just had our most beautiful lovemaking ever. We just had a whole new level of communication. And to celebrate that, and to just bring up, hey, let's be careful not to sabotage it tomorrow when we get scared. But if you do get scared, or if I get scared, I'm just going to own, okay, I'm scared right now. I'm wondering if I went too far. I'm just going to breathe through it. Yeah.
Well, I can definitely say we've been through a lot of that. Like, I mean, just last night I was telling him I was scared. Like, I mean, that just comes with the territory. But when you've been mangled.
We really had a beautiful day.
Yeah.
We had a beautiful day. And then that night, last night, we had a beautiful morning and day, just blissful all day. And then at night is when, okay.
We get scared randomly. Like, we're scared of our intimacy. We're scared of our connection. Like, we're scared of hurting each other. And it's like we recognize that we have these fears, but we're so in love that we're willing to keep working at it day by day. And that's what we're always saying, day by day, because
it's been day by day for 11 months.
Yeah, we've had so many times of almost breaking up, but our love for each other just brings us magnetized back together, and we break through in whatever the issue is, and we manage to come back into the alignment of love. So.
That's beautiful, you guys. Also, expressing the fear and this thing, because I think that comes up for a lot of people. I mean, I can experience that a lot in my relationships, this kind of anxiety that just comes up. And so that you're able to voice it to each other, just brings it out, and creates safety within that. You can both hear it and understand how each are feeling. That takes a lot. That takes some emotional fortitude and willingness that you really want to be in the relationship.
Yeah. It is.
As coaches, two things to remember. One of the things is that most of us were not trained or taught that there is an intimacy threshold, that we are going to get scared after a deeper level of connection. Because most of us, when we were children, were told a terrible, terrible lie over and over. And that lie is called, and they lived happily ever after. Mm-hmm. This idea that you find true love, and once it's true love, then you're just happy forever. You don't have to keep working at it. And even though we intellectually know that's not true, it's remarkable how many people are still thinking that way, still imagining that that's the way it's going to be. Even my wife, the one who passed away, Suchi, I mean, she's a very intelligent woman, and she had traveled all over the world. And there was a part of her that when we got married, kind of thought, okay, we're not going to have, we're not going to have to still work on the relationship. Now we're married and it's all going to be pretty much okay. And she was surprised that even though we were married and had really worked through so much stuff, that there was still work that needed to be done on a regular basis. So it's, as coaches, it's really important to let people know it's not about they lived happily ever after. It's about continuing to grow our communication skills, grow our emotional intelligence, and make it safe to acknowledge our fear and share our fear without acting out of fear. Like bringing it to the light of consciousness without acting it out.
Yeah. There's a comfort in just being able to open up and talk to your partner about your issues and your fears. Like and that's like a strange dichotomy, like that, having comfort in expressing your fears, but it's like a gift to be able to do that with a partner. Like, look, this is triggering me, this is scaring me, like and we try to just gently talk through it. Typically, since he's kind of newer to this level of stuff and everything that I've exposed him to, his triggers are pretty new and raw, and so he tends to go right into the red zone, and so he sometimes he gets pissed at me when I say yellow light. He's like, I'm already mad, you know.
I'm already in the red zone.
And so that, and then we realize, we actually need to be doing red light and just take some space to calm down.
I really think it's sweet when she calls yellow light. To be honest, like, even though I'm really upset, I've already passed that threshold, but in my subconscious, it's really sweet.
And there are times like, even during we're supposed to be taking some space, I'll still send him lovey gifts, and I'll just say, I still love you, right? We like to send lovey-dovey, like cartoony hearts and bears to each other and stuff. So that's kind of how we stay connected in our time out, is we still try to express that we're still in this, we're just having a moment of toughness.
Yeah.
Right, so you're giving each other reassurance.
Yeah, there
exactly.
you go.
That's the key word. Thank you, Anuprabha. Thank you.
This isn't over. We haven't broken up. We still love each other.
We've never ignored each other. Like, we've never gotten to, I mean,
we've never really broken up either.
We'll
talk about it or threaten it, and then we're just like, it only lasts a couple hours, and then we're like, back together.
Well, you guys, I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of what you guys created tonight. I think it's been a great class. I'm gonna log off. I've got a 7:30 session by phone, and I want to do a couple things before then while I'm driving. But so I'm gonna log off. But great job, you guys.
Yeah, I just want to say hi because I've been here since 7. I had a late doctor's appointment, but I've been listening, and I just wanted to welcome myself on since we're only 5 of us, and to say hi to you and how much I also appreciate you. And I sent you a text.
Oh, okay, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the conversation that Mandy and Israel are having, and Anuprabha's comments, and Debbie's presence here, and my presence here, and you, Scott, all that you have created and given to the reality of Love Coach Academy and what we're all getting to experience together. So thank you so much.
Good. My pleasure. Thank you. All right, everybody. A reminder, we are going to have a class on Saturday. It's going to be kind of a special class that where I'm inviting people that are interested in our work to join. But we'll be doing stuff we'll be doing some unique games and some unique teachings. So everybody's welcome to join, and it'll still be at 10 o'clock this Saturday morning, 10 a.m. So hopefully I'll see all of you on Zoom Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Okay, great.
I have some other events. All right. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey, Scott, thank you. It's Aaron as well here. Thanks so much, man.
Okay, thanks,
Oh,
Scott.
hey, Aaron. Bye-bye.
Thank
Ollie's
you.
also
Bye.
here, in case. It's a
So we just saw your question on the chat about what would red alert look like depending on each other's attachment style.
Yeah, that was two different, feedback.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an older question, right?
Yeah, from the beginning. I think you.
Sorry, I just now checked the group chat.
No, I was just putting it in. I think we went through that. That kind of happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's 7:25. So do we want to end at 7:30?
Yeah, I'm tired, guys.
Me too. So shall we do a brief round of just like a quick feedback check-in from everybody? Just a minute.
If anybody wants to. Does anybody
give like a minute check-in or so?
What's up, Deborah?
I would love to just say I realized today that I'm literally grieving. I could almost burst out in tears, but I know you all need to go, so I'm going to take a bath. I've planned this bath, and I'm really grieving and feeling many different, grief can have so many different levels. So I'm feeling exhausted many times beyond what I'm used to feeling. And I've been letting go of so many things, like even today, my favorite Maui dress and a Jackson Hole duster and these things that I'm selling at different consignment stores and packing up my entire life to move and just feeling so many different feelings. So anybody who's open to practicing, I'd love to talk with somebody at some point. It doesn't have to be tonight because I'm exhausted, but at another time. And yeah, just thanks for, and I'm really glad that I finally got on. I wasn't able to click the link as I was driving home. So I asked wonderful Debbie to send me the link in a different form. And I was able to get on once I got home to my laptop. Thank you. Sounds like you had a great class.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Deb.
Thank you.
I wanted to so much earlier. I kept trying with my cell phone. I was driving home going, why won't this work? So just from 6 o'clock on, I was like, God, I want to be with them. I can miss them all.
Well, I think it's recorded. So if you want to go back and rewatch the first chunk, that was the bulk of the workshop that I was teaching.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
And the topic was basically how to go from fear and back into the alignment of love during a connected timeout. And I gave 6 steps.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And a bath was one of them.
And I am Epsom salt lavender bath after this.
Yes. They feel
crystals, and you got one of the steps right there. Hey, Ellie, did you want to say anything?
Oh, just that I appreciate everybody. I've been having some issues with the video tonight. It's incredibly foggy here and wonky Wi-Fi, but great class. And thank you, everyone. I love all of you. Oh, and I'm sleepy too. So a bath sounds really awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allie. Debbie G, would you like to say something?
Awesome job, all of you guys. I mean, Mandy, Israel, thank you for coming out and just being vulnerable, authentic, real, and sharing. The word that kept popping out is this word gentle. And I really love that. And I'm going to appreciate that because I'm not the most gentle human. Okay. And another one I heard, consideration. Consideration is a big thing on my roster right now. It came up for me over the weekend with somebody else not being considerate, or at least in my world as I saw it, I didn't feel that it was considerate. But yet then it also caused me to look and see where I need to be more like that if I'm noticing it. So there are so many different aspects to this, and Anuprabha asking great questions and also interjection. So you guys just did so well, and I'm just grateful that I know all of you. So if anybody knows people that want to take the Relationship Essentials course, or want to become a love coach, or want to take a refresher course in the Relationship Essentials course as a refresher only, send them my way or send them Scott's way, and we'll send them all the information on that. And I believe everybody here is already an affiliate. I don't think any of you are not, right?
I am.
No, Mandy? I know Deb, Anuprabha, I'm pretty sure you are. You're muted, sweetness.
I would imagine I must be. I've been on here. Been here for a while.
I'm going to check and make sure. If not, I'll send you the linky. And what you do is you share that unique link so that you get credit and you get 20% over anything that anybody actually purchases. And that includes, you know, Scott's doing private sessions or whatever. So Erin, you too.
Somebody I've sent Scott's way.
I imagine.
Yeah.
All right, guys, but that's it with me. I'm done, and I'm grateful for you guys.
Thank you, Debbie G. Thanks for handling the computer.
Can someone send me the show link to like the download or file or whatever of the show, and